Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 493. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, living large in Minnesota. We're all ready for the Shocktober. It's early fun.
Getting it shot.
We are joined by a regular suspect, that is Charlie Carden.
Todd, I heard by this guy who wouldn't shut up in line behind us on ice cream that the Vikes beat the Packers today. Yay! We don't like the Packers. Even though
we do not like the Packers. No, we do not. Not in our area.
Not here, not there, not anywhere.
Getting ice cream or at ice cream? I'm not sure. Is that the name of the place or that's what you got?
What is at ice cream? Is that like...
I don't know. It sounded like you were saying, I was at ice cream, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Standing online for ice cream, this guy who just needed to talk about football. So since he kept yapping, I at least inquired about the Vikings because I wanted to.
There you go. You learned a little something, Charlie. So good for you.
Yeah.
And we are joined by a resident expert in the world of the spooky, the scary, and the terror, because we are joined by the Terrorific Lady, aka Brandy. Brandy, welcome so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Anytime I have an excuse to talk about horror, I'm all there.
Nice. Awesome.
That's fantastic. I found you on Threads. That's where I'm meeting a lot of cool new people, and your passion for horror, teaching people about horror, going deep, and just your passion, I love it. And I'm ready to be schooled about things I don't know about. And if you have any recommendations in the world of horror, because Charlie knows me, I'm a little of a scaredy cat at times, but I like being scared.
So. Anything John Carpenter. I'll just throw that out there.
Oh yeah, we're doing one this rotation. He typically comes up every Shocktober with what movie have we seen? So we're excited for that.
It's one of the 5 legs of the beast. But yeah, let's jump into it. Yeah. So we'll get the business out of the way first and foremost.
Oh, do we want to ask Brandy her geek origin story, and then we'll get into the business and then move on.
Yeah, business before business. So business me. Yeah, tell us about how you got into all this.
Well, it all started whenever I snuck downstairs when I was around 6 or 7 and watched a horror movie that I definitely had no business watching whenever I was that young. So that's usually how all horror origin stories start. It's like someone's too young watching a movie they shouldn't be watching. It was Hellraiser, by the way.
At 6.
Yeah. So, I was pretty hardcore for a 6 or 7 year old. But yeah, I grew up a lot around horror because my mom was a big fan. That's why I'm so into John Carpenter, is because she was a fan and she was showing me all his movies. And then I got out of horror for a little bit in my 20s, but then my 30s, I just dove right back into it and just head first and just surrounded by all this cool horror stuff.
Did you have a Hallmark movie time frame or something?
Yes.
Is that what you did? You skipped horror, did Hallmark movies, and got back into horror.
They're doing that over there now, too.
No, not Hallmark movies. No.
On the Hallmark Channel?
No.
Pumpkin Spice Romance. Oh,
don't tell me that's actually
it probably is.
Kristen Bell and Ian Ziering. Watch out, yeah. No, Kristen Bell doesn't think that far.
Well, very cool. You know what? It's amazing what resilience kids can be by being horrified at a young age. But, hey, it keeps you safe, too. It keeps, hey, don't open puzzle boxes, kids. Don't do it.
Yeah, so don't open puzzle boxes. Don't ask for anything from Cenobites, and just stay far away from limit configurations.
Always stay together. Turn the light on when you go into a house.
Yeah.
Don't say, wait, what's that? I'll go look. Stay here.
No cabins, and never say a name more than once.
No.
Right.
Don't say it more than once. Don't need to.
Oh my gosh. Beetlemax. Beetlemax? No. Okay.
Candyman.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let's get through the stuff and then we'll talk about some stuff. So we always like to give homage to these absolutely fantastic people on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. We have a ton of great additional I was going to say product. It's not product. It's content. We have ad-free versions of our show, early versions of our show out there, and all kinds of fun stuff for as little as $2 a month. So you also, when you join up, can check us out for a week for free. So that is the way to do it. We would love to have you over there. Over on our besties level, our pals Chris 1H1D, my buddy Derek, the figure dude, Francie, my wife's hairdresser, the Xbox expansion pass, Mr. Luke Lore, and my Uncle Tim. Heck of a nice guy. I don't know how much he listens, but he does support us, and I do dig that. Friends with Benefits level is John Sedorf, the awesome Phoenix Sisters Entertainment. Now, Todd, you got to see our friend Kelly yesterday at the X Experience that you're going to talk about later.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. But yes, wonderful folks. Met both Kelly and Crayley. Had a great time. They were both dressed up to the T's. Also, Kelly's husband was with them. So,
I love
great meeting people in real life.
Gotcha. Brendan Myers, Corey and HD, and friend of the show, Matthew Keel. Top of the pops, number one super folks are the great Nias family out there from the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. We are very grateful for all of you. And once again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, 7 days for free. And if you like what you hear, plan on sticking around because we want to have you. Oh, Todd. So we've got the month of October, because this will drop on Tuesday, October 1st, with our first scary cover from 1979. What do we got going on here?
It's called Have You the Nerve to Face the Unexpected? This is kind of a cool book from DC from 1979. It includes 3 chilling comics. So you got The House of Secrets, The Witching Hour, and then Unexpected. The cover, it was only for $1. So you got 3 big comics. Cover is basically a guy at a library. A skeleton obviously is mad that he's taking his book, and it says, "Oh no, if what this book says is true, I'm about to die. Secret of the Dead Man's Diary." Probably not a good title I would recommend checking out.
I think all that he's really seeing in there is there's a mirror. It's one of those little like mirrors you'd have like in a locker, because so he can see the hands behind him. Because what else is the book going to say? Oh, you're going to die sitting in a chair in a library and you're wearing a blue blazer and you left your tie at home. What could the book say? It's a mirror. I'm cutting through it. It's a mirror.
Charlie, this guy hasn't even cleaned his bookshelves. Look at all those cobwebs. I mean, come on.
Disgusting.
I mean, if he's doing that, he's not really worried about it. The great thing about this book, and obviously I think you want to know more about this, these are the names of the stories within this book. Secret of the Dead Man's Diary, Don't Monkey with Murder, Dead Heat, The Garden of Death, Midnight Muzak, Beautiful and the Damned, Give a Great Big Smile to Satan, and Moonlight and Mayhem.
That sounds like an episode of Treehouse Terror. I mean, or 2, because there's so many stories. It was
so many stories.
Yeah. Oh my God. And for a buck. For a sawbuck.
So Brandy, I'm not sure if you're into comics or not, but horror comics have a long tradition with EC Comics, Tales from the Crypt, all of those things. Yep. So everything I mentioned about this book, all these stories, is there anything that you would be particularly interested in checking out in this book? One of those stories, or what do you think?
I would probably want to check out all of it because the cover draws me in. It looks really interesting. Anything that, like with skeletons on it, it's like, yep, I'm all there. I'm there. So, and I've read a few editions of a Marvel comic called The Vault of Evil. So I haven't really gotten like too far into it, but it's really cool to see like what people thought was creepy back in the 70s.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Tomb of Dracula. There's so many.
And as I hear it, just the streets of New York City, Times Square was supposed to be just absolutely terrifying. But not in a way that was fun. There
wasn't the zombies that will kill you. It's the pimps and the crackheads.
They didn't have crack back then. They were just called junkies.
That's true. But don't monkey with murder. Yeah. You know what? Never trust a monkey. They're never going to do the right thing.
Oh my gosh. Do the right thing. Well, you know who's pretty famous for not doing the right thing on our staff? That's probably our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. A long sordid history of being long and sordid, or short and sordid, because I think she's only about 4'8", as I recall. Or even shorter with the marionette strings. I mean, you put a picture of her out
Happens
there.
When you're 124, Charlie. You shrink.
I guess you shrinking. Yeah, she gets any smaller, she'll be like Ant-Man. But anyway, she's down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, waiting to give us that which we need to know to kick off this Shocktober, our news and scoops. So let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. 124 years, 124 Halloweens, Madam Web. I know you're so excited. You are probably hoping we do not review one of your movies that you appeared in back in the day, which was A Chorus of Crones, where you would kill men with the sound of your voice.
No, of course, of Crohn's. I thought you were talking about like Crohn's disease. I'm like, oh, don't make fun of that. That's rough.
Well, that would be a horror film right there. Yeah.
Oh my
A Chorus of Crohn's disease. Yes.
My goodness. All right. Well, up first we have. This was I guess we got this probably a little sooner than I would have expected, but kicking off next summer will be Thunderbolts Asterisk from Marvel Studios. This is yet another example of taking a core title that we all loved and had a great punch back in the 90s, which was a new superhero team bursts on the scene. Nobody knows who they are. They're filling a gap because the Avengers have disappeared into a pocket universe. And at the end of the first issue, they revealed that all of the characters are villains who are masquerading. That is not what this movie is about at all. But what Marvel has done is taken all of its like F-level villains in a lot of regard and cobble them together in a team run by Elaine from Seinfeld, which is scary enough. And you also get Bob from Top Gun, who is the mystery character.
Playing Bob again.
Yeah, playing Bob. He's Bob, and his name is his name Bob Pullman? What's his name? Louis Pullman. I bet Bob's his middle name. Yeah. I bet Bob is his middle name. But Brandy, what's your affinity with Marvel? Are you a fan? Are you aware? Where do you land?
Yeah, I was a big fan through phases 1 through 3. I kind of fell off after 3, and now I'm more of a pick and choose Marvel fan. Like if something looks interesting, I'll watch it, and if something doesn't look interesting, then I avoid it.
Not married to it. Yeah, that is Marvel's big engagement issue all over since the Disney Plus television era began.
Yeah.
You know, that they produce a lot and some of it sticks, but when they try to stick it together with a movie property like they did with the Marvels, it fails. I mean, it was a huge failure. But this was a teaser, but it was pretty full trailer, 2:15, 2:30. There's a lot of content in here. Kind of some fun moments. Of course, I watched numerous trailer breakdowns, New Rock Stars and Screen Crush and whatever. So I've gotten more into the nitty gritty. But Todd, how is this making you feel?
It's making me feel better now that I've seen the trailer. It makes me feel like, okay, I get the vibe what they're going for, which I like, which is a mix of Suicide Squad, which is kind of the right way to go after it versus Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. You know, they're not playing with like, we're a family. It's like we're not friends. We're here to do business. And it is interesting because the cast is primarily post, Endgame. It's not the characters showed up. Only Bucky is the one that has, tenure before that with the main team. So he's probably going to be supervising a lot of this group's behavior, which includes the cast is. It's going to be Florence Pugh, obviously, White Widow, I guess, is what she goes by.
Just Yelena Belova, I guess. I don't know that she took name, but White Widow, basically, yeah.
Yeah, and then we get the rest of the characters, which is, U.S. Agent. We get a Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yep. We get Black Widow's Taskmaster, and then we also get Red Guardian.
So the Black Widow film is making like that has 3 characters in the mix, more than any other. But Bucky is a senator in this. I've read doing some of the back. That's
really?
Some of the backstory. Yeah, he's a senator, which I would think he'd get a haircut for that. But at one point in the trailer,
he's a senator, former assassin for the Russians, and now a senator.
Look, in the post-blip world, they'll probably take whoever they can get. But
not John Walker? I would have expected John Walker to be the senator. Well,
John Walker was, dishonorably discharged from the military, remember? He was Captain America who went nuts. So,
I know that, but I mean, Bucky kind of did the same thing.
But he didn't save anybody from Thanos. But, I mean, at one point in this trailer, you have Bucky hunting the other people. So it's that's probably the red herring that he said, they all start out fighting, but because they have an extended fight where Yelena is breaking into some facility and then John Walker shows up and starts shooting at her, and then they're fighting with knives, and then Ghost shows up, and so they have, but they did the same thing in the first Avengers trailer because they show that scene in the forest where Thor and Cap and Iron Man are all slugging it out. So it's probably like it's a very Three's Company kind of situation. They get it turned around, and then they're all pals.
Yeah, I don't know how much we're going to get. I don't know if that's early in the movie, late in the movie, but obviously then they're brought to get Bob. And for anybody that's new, Bob is Sentry.
Yes.
So Sentry
Marvel
is
Superman-ish. Yeah.
Marvel's not quite together Superman. Yeah, he deals with schizophrenia. He deals with this force called the Void, which he thinks is real. We don't always know if it's real or not, but he is unstable and can't be relied upon. So essentially, he's a weapon that somebody wants to control. We don't know where he came from. And in the comics, and this is funny, if you've never heard of him, Brandy, this was basically, they tried to do some flim-flam in the comics where basically say, Sentry is an unforgotten Marvel character that we brought back. And it was a lie. They never did, and they kind of made fun of it. So it was like a mind skew.
And they've tried that more than once. They did that in the Avengers about 5 or 6 years ago with a character called Voyager. That they said, here's this classic picture, and there's Voyager in the corner. So, but it was all part of the storyline.
Triathlon, I think, too, was a character too. I think was yeah.
You know what? So, when they've been publishing for 60 years, they got to pull out all the weird whatever. That's just how comics work. So.
Yep. Yeah. And the director that's doing this, he's done a lot of television. He's actually directing Star Wars Skeleton's Crew, which I didn't know about. But he has done music videos, and then he has done smaller films, one called Robot and Frank, which is about Frank Langella. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it brings us together. I like I said, I am more optimistic about this film than I was before. The fact that Sentry is being involved, and he's going to be the gun that, the gun that, maybe somebody controls that person. The fate of the Marvel universe could be changed. But so with that, Brandy, seeing the trailer, are you in or are you out?
Probably when it comes to streaming, I wouldn't go pay to see it in theaters. That's how I am, like, with a lot of movies that I'm not sure about. But my only wish is that they found some plausible way to put Zemo in the Thunderbolts, because I know he was in the
where is Zemo?
Dude, I thought he was supposed to be part of this. That is what I had heard. So
maybe he is.
Yeah, you're
maybe it's the asterisk plus Zemo.
Right. Yeah, the asterisk is because, again, one of the scenes you see in the trailer is that they're meeting in Avengers Tower. So that is their HQ, but they're being, and again, you have, Elaine, Val, Veep, if you will, I'm just going to call her a bunch of names, is running the show, but she's very sardonic character. You've seen her in previous things, including the second Black Panther movie, and she was the one who recruited John Walker at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So
I hope you watched all of those.
Exactly. Marvel comes with homework. So this will be their second release after the Captain America Brave New World, which will be in February. Then we have something at the end of the summer, or something at the end. We have Blade that's supposed to come out in November. I don't.
We've got. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're getting maybe something animated, probably.
Yeah.
With that, so we'll see. We'll see. But you know what? If you aren't interested in that, something you might be interested that's coming out very soon is a new series coming to Peacock called Hysteria.
Looks so crazy. I love it.
It is going to be a crazy satanic panic type of film set in the 80s, where basically everybody thought, these satanic bands that weren't really satanic, they were just using it to make money. Like, Alice Cooper, or, you think of even our time, like, blanking on the name, Marilyn Manson, they're going to destroy our souls. We're like, or Kiss. So, so these kids want to get famous. So they find out that instead of them being famous, someone gets killed. So they say, well, how do we get famous? Well, let's go into satanic music. So they form their band, do that.
Yeah, right. Oh.
Along the way in this town, though, something is going wrong. And that's where we get this movie that stars Julie Bowen, obviously from Family.
Modern Family. But she was also in Totally Killer, which we enjoyed. Yep.
Anna Camp, True Blood, Bruce Campbell, of course, from the Evil Dead films. MJ Anthony from Krampus, Chiara Azuria, and a bunch of other people. Yeah. If you know any of the rest of them. This is going to be an 8-episode series. It's going to be on Peacock, but also on your traditional USA and Sci-Fi.
Okay. And what's the rating, as it were, if it's going to be on those basic netlets? Is it not graphic? Is it somewhere in between?
No, Sci-Fi. You can drop F-bombs on Sci-Fi now, which is just crazy.
Well, I mean, they've given up the ghost on AMC,
because it's cable. So I mean, you can do whatever you want, not network.
They just decided the line was, there's no basic cable anymore because things are streaming and apps and whatever. So I get it. Somebody's not just going to be flipping stations and hear an F-bomb because people pick what they watch. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
I love this though because Bruce Campbell's playing like the old cop who's probably 1 week away from retirement. Of course,
he's too old for this shit. You better believe it.
Exactly. And this is coming out October 18th. So there's a couple different storylines happening with this that looks very fun.
Yeah.
So I am very interested in this. 8 episodes though might be a little too much, and of course this is going to end up after Halloween. So we'll have a lot of.
It comes on the 18th of October. So
kind of late.
It kind of seems like a mismatch. So I'm not sure if they're going to be able to keep the enthusiasm going. Who knows? I don't know. So is this new IP or is this based on something?
New IP, and which is, it's always good to have new IP, and we've seen some wins and losses when it comes to streaming. We really like the Fear Street movies; thought those were amazing. We've got American Horror Story, which has been, it's been, good and bad at times. Brandy. So I don't know if this was on your radar or not, but what do you think?
This is honestly the first time I've heard of it.
Same.
So. But I love Bruce Campbell because of Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then Ash versus the Evil Dead. So any horror thing or horror-related thing with Bruce Campbell, I've always got to check out. It's the law. It's horror law.
It is the law. He's got the stamp.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget Bubba Hotep. What was the other movie that was in? They Call Me Bruce. Is that what it's called? My Name is Bruce. Where he played himself, and he had they thought he could actually take out like a demonic force. It was very funny.
Oh my gosh.
Well, very, very good.
Yeah. Either way, both of his names are Bruce. Well, cool. We'll take a glance, and you said we'll be able to grab that. You said Sci-Fi, and where else is it at?
Peacock is going to probably be the most people's access, unless you still have traditional cable.
We just got Peacock again because April did Instacart and it was 3 months of that. Plus SNL came back on, which was hilarious today. So, all right. I didn't rewatch this trailer, but I watched it earlier this week, but I should have because The Last of Us is one of our favorite things around. I think April and I watched it back to back, like about 6 months ago after having seen it when it came out, which was about a year ago. But this is fantastic. Now, Todd, watching this trailer, you're a video game guy. You've played, are there 2 games?
2 games.
And you played.
There's one DLC that came out during the first game as well. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So, watching the trailer, are you getting a good vibe that they're sticking with what they did in season 1, which is staying pretty faithful to the game?
Well, I'm going to do a pressure check. So, Brandy, do you play horror games at all, or have you played this game?
I definitely do play horror games. I played The Last of Us. I haven't played The Last of Us 2.
Okay.
I will not imply anything because if you've at least played the game, the second one, it's a heartbreaker. It really is. It grabs at the heartstrings so much. I mean, and when I saw some of these things from the trailer, I'm like, oh, everyone's going to be so sad. But because I'm hearing there's going to be more than just one more season, because there's only 2 games, they're going to break up this game and essentially the game into 2 parts is how I think they're going to do, which is I think a smart decision.
Save some of the agony for next time is what you're saying?
There's a way, because the game is really split almost in 2 parts, the way they tell their storytelling. There's really 2 perspectives, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And they did show something in this trailer, which means they're going to touch on a little bit of that. There's some cues directly from the game where like Joel wants to teach Ellie how to play guitar, which is great. Yeah. Ellie does have a romance in this, right. Which got a lot of hate. I'm like, people really, is that what we're doing? It was a touching moment. And I will tell you, this is going to be a big Ellie season. So if you like Ellie, this is going to be a big Ellie season. And I like the fact that something I didn't expect was the Jean Smart character. That is cool.
She's great at everything she's ever done, so it doesn't matter what she's doing.
And it looks like Joel's getting some therapy, which is not in the game. There's not a therapy section, like, you know.
Oh, really? There's not. Oh, there's not a DLC for therapy.
There's no therapy minigame, which I don't know how that happened, but no. So
get the right number of points to finish the game and move this like Tetris. Move things around. Exactly.
So like what they did in the first season, they expanded, added some things, shifted as needed for television.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with because I saw a lot of things. I'm like, yep, I see where they're going, and it is going to be amazing.
I
That's all
will
I'll say.
I will tell you what I am not happy with is it's coming in 2025. No! A date. We like dates. I like to put things in my calendar. Give me a
Wasn't
date. No,
Last of
not-
Us 2023 January.
Yep. Maybe, but that's not what this said.
No. I was just saying no. January 2023. Wasn't that when the first season was?
It was the first part of last year. You're correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to think. Maybe they would do the same thing. I don't know. It's
I
still early.
hope so, but it would be. I mean, it's not. It's October, so yeah, it's 3 months. But yes, I would like to know pretty definitively when that's going to be. But I'm super fired up. This will trigger at least another rewatch of that. But it was 6 episodes, right? So it's like
Very short.
You just watched it in a week. It's nice and easy. All right, Todd. This next
So
one.
I was going to ask Brandy, did you watch the show too, or just play the game?
I played the first game, and I watched the first season. So that lends me to ask this question: should I play the second game before I watch season 2?
Ooh, so do you play the game after you watched it, or do you play the game first?
I played
season 1.
I played the game first. Yes.
That sounds like the better track.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool way to do it, because I think that gives you an idea of what's different, and then you can still appreciate. Like, I really loved, because I'm like, I think they're going to do certain things, but then they brought in things I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. That was cool. So if you've got the time, it's probably about a 25-hour game, and it's and I think you're just going to really start seeing how, like, I think it also give you perspective, like, well, how are they going to do this? So I think it could become a good mind exercise too. So that's my recommendation, but you could always watch it and then play along.
Yeah. We played a little of the game, and I know because it's one player, it was April doing it, and she got stuck on something. It was like, this is whatever. I gave it a shot. I don't know that I ever tried it, but I mean, we own the game, so we certainly could.
Or just watch the cutscenes if you don't want to play it. That's always another thing.
That is what we did. We did actually end up watching the cutscenes, and you're right. It was very faithful, and that's pretty exciting to do that. All right, okay, Todd. You and I have a difference of opinion on the whole John Wick thing. I know you. The fight scenes are so great, or whatever it is, and I'm like,
the opinion is I am right and you're wrong.
Oh, it's funny that I'm rubber and you're glue, so you're wrong. But anyway,
well, maybe Brandy can be the tiebreaker in this one.
We'll see about that. But anyway, the John Wick is proliferating. They already had or have a television series coming out.
Yes,
based
the Continental.
On the Continental, which is one of the prime locations. Now we're spinning off into having a lady John Wick. It's Ana de Armas. She's a ballerina. She brought Elton John with her for some reason because I hear him singing. And it's pretty
tiny
gruesome.
dancer.
Yeah. I'm sorry. She's from Brooklyn. It's a tiny dancer. Like Tony Danza, like what we were talking about earlier today.
Yes, like Tony Danza.
But yeah, this is a full trailer for Ballerina, which I assume I do not remember in a tag when it's coming out. Before the end of the year?
No, this will be 2025.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
this will be it'll be June 6, 2025.
Wow,
this is essentially
Black Widow.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it is not John Wick 4. It's going to be essentially during. Yeah, it's going to be essentially during the John Wick era. Yeah. Because we do get John Wick in this showing up. We do get the Continental does show up. That's how basically she's brought in to be raised to be an assassin.
Black Widow, Red Room.
It's very Black Widow-esque in that case. And
whoops, you just went mute, bud. You still there?
Oh, I hit my mic.
I'm too excited. I can't take it.
Yeah, it's got I need to stop touching my mic. But the cool part about this is there's this group called the Ruska Roma Ballet. So
rolls right off the tongue.
So John Wick was raised by them. And so basically they create assassins. And so she is going to be trained as a ballerina. And Angelica Houston is the dame of the ballet company.
And, if you think back to Black Widow's remembering of the Red Room, which happened in Avengers Age of Ultron, that crusty old lady looks a little like Angelica Houston, as I recall. Could be the same thing.
That was Angelica Houston in there. So, I mean, yes, could be. So, yes, this is essentially going to be another part of the John Wick era, which is, I mean, it's full of assassins. So there's going to be, there's going to be more you can play with in this world, and we do obviously get. And the cool part is they don't even beat around the bush; they do meet each other. And and she says basically, "Are you the one they called Baba Yaga?" And yes, which is true. That's what they call him, the Baba Yaga.
I'm bummed out that David Dalmatian didn't show up. So
well, so I saw this trailer. I'm like, I love Ana de Armas, and I like the fact that she is perfectly capable of doing these amazing, gun fu as they call it. I love the gun choreography. It's amazing. Yeah. It's just so exciting to watch versus just another boring kind of fight scene, which I've loved. Like they excel at that.
Yeah, she's believable with the physicality, the same way that Scarlett Johansson is, which is what really sold those movies too. And it's not just stunt doubling and all this different stuff. But yeah, it's polo punches kind of deal. And do the John Wick movies do well? Like this, is this going to be a factor?
Oh, they are huge. Like everyone gets bigger. Like John Wick 3, I think, made like $500 million. Yeah, they're huge.
Well, it is very telling that they're 9 months ahead of promoting it, because again, it's going to be, you've got to make sure the audiences can connect the dots. Otherwise, that John Wick success is not going to rub off. It's just going to be like, oh, okay, it's whatever. It's Black Widow. I already watched a Marvel movie this summer. You got to make the connection. So it's good that they're promoting it now and spending their dollars. That's smart. So I don't know. I give it a crack. We'll kind of see what happens.
Well, this might be a good entry point for you versus having to catch up with all the John Wick films. Well, since you might be more agreeable to your interests.
I get the feeling the John Wick's movies wouldn't take a lot of brain processing to get caught up. They don't.
Not at all. They're very. It's got a good mythology though, which I think is kind of cool versus your standard is that most recent one. Dave Bautista, where he thinks he's going to die and he's a hitman. He takes one more job.
Oh God, yeah. And he's got to pay to get out of the job. Exactly. Where Brandy, where do you land with the John Wick movies? Any love, any dislike?
I love the John Wick movies. I saw every single one in theaters. High five. Oh, yes, it's Keanu Reeves. How can you not love Keanu Reeves? Even the bad movies that he's in. It's just
all you need to do when he came at the end of this trailer is go, whoa, and just watch people dropping their dollars. Boom.
He doesn't say dude, Charlie. He doesn't say dude in the movies either.
No.
Dude, I'm gonna kick your face in, dude. Well, I will remember your words when we get to our summer movie wager. Brandy, Todd, and myself, and John, who is our third college roommate, we have for almost 10 years now done a summer movie wager where we guess the performance of the top 10 domestic box office, and so we have to have a good guesstimation of what people will really actually want to spend money on. So obviously this is going to be a factor. So I will not forget.
And Ana de Armas was awesome in the Bond film she was in. Yes. I thought she was amazing in that. So that makes me so excited, because when I saw her play the role, I'm like, oh, she would be amazing in it. And of course, now she is. So there you go. Stuff. Yeah. So we move to our last story, and it's very appropriate for Shocktober. We are getting a long delayed, I guess, third entry into the I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Is it the fourth
thing?
I think it's the fourth. I remember the first one because it's on our summer 4th of July watch, because it said 4th of July.
Okay.
That's 4th of July movie. I know there was a second one. I saw it when I was in college at like a free screening. I remember that. I know there was a third one where it was still Jennifer Love Hewitt, but she and some friends went to a resort, but it was a setup. And so this must be the fourth one.
Okay, so I actually read the article, and I did find out in 2006 they did another movie called I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
There you go.
And then in 2021 there was a Prime Video that premiered that I Know What You Did Last Summer TV series, which ran for one season.
So this is an entire averse, as it were. Was there any connectivity between the show and the movies?
I couldn't tell you, Charlie. I don't know. Brandy, maybe you know. Yeah. Did you get into these movies? Because they're a little bit more like popcorn.
They're more horror, so to speak.
Yeah, I only watched the first one, and then I was just like, I'm good.
Well,
You didn't want to see
there's-
Brandy get killed in the second one?
yeah, there's no Brandy. There's nothing
was like,
distinguishing
what?
about any of the other films, but yeah, I mean, when is there ever? And like, is there anything really stand out in Halloween 2 through 17 or however the hell many it is they made before they rebooted it, or
Yeah.
Friday the 13th? Oh, he threw a
I
kid into a
didn't
helicopter
know
blade,
these-
you know,
Apparently, these were based on a book series too,
no clue,
which I didn't know that.
no clue. So anyway, your
Lois
article,
Duncan wrote them.
your article is saying that Freddie Prinze Jr. and Love Hewitt are negotiating to bring it back as early as last year, and now there's some news. Something's happening.
Yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. is officially joining the sequel film. So maybe I have to watch the second one because I can't remember to see who died, who lived. I couldn't remember. So I'm like, did they survive? And then they just
Yeah, in the first film, Sarah Michelle Gellar dies. Ryan Felipe dies. The two of these two live. And then obviously Jennifer Love Hewitt continues to survive, and so did he. So I'm guessing they're the evergreen ones, and any other friends they brought along got, I think, not Omar Epps, but like Brandy and some other young black actor at that time was like the kind of, maybe they both got killed. Now I have to watch the second one. You've thrown
now
me
we
off.
all have to watch them. So Brandy, now we have homework. We all have to watch this trilogy and maybe the TV series too. I don't know. I'm not going to sign anybody up for that, but at least watch the second movie and see who survives.
Yeah, that seems a stretch. So anyway, we love this kind of stuff. I know we'll be down with it, and it does have a release date. This is also a summer movie next year. So will
July
this
horror film
be a factor? I don't know. Probably not. But then again, we've seen other horror movies that have really taken off. Like Black Phone did last year, still got into our top 10. So
the Scream movies have done really well, even if they get delayed and they keep coming. So, I don't know if we need like all of the other really kind of not so great late 90s, early 2000s, those films to all come back. But if they're good and somebody's got a good idea, why not?
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Well, I'm into it. We'll be talking about it one way or the other, I am sure, once we get to next summer. But that takes us out of the news. It is time to summon up that Fuber out of my feeble Uber app so we can get a ride downtown, sideways, uptown Scuggsville to the Geek Easy in Nastyville. Get in this gross cab. It smells like Beetlejuice. Oh, don't say it 3 times. But the AM radio is playing, and I hear this advertisement.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So, Brandy, tell us what you're geeking out about right now.
Well, it's obviously horror. It's always going to be. But lately, as of late, I am watching the Terrifier franchise. So things like All Hallows Eve, Terrifier, Terrifier 2, because Terrifier 3 is going to be coming out very soon. So I want to make sure that I'm all up to speed with all the franchise entries before I go in and watch the third one.
Gotcha. What's the nutshell version of what the series is about?
Well, basically it centers around the central character of Art the Clown, played by David Howard Thornton, and you don't really know his backstory. You don't really know where he came from, so it's almost kind of like a Michael Myers-esque type of character, but a clown, and he likes to stalk and kill, basically like a typical slasher film.
Yeah, not like what's my motivation? Stalk and
Kill. Exactly. But Art is just so, he almost also kind of reminds me of a mime in his movements and his expressions and just the way he takes really sick joy in what he does, and you're laughing at times when you probably shouldn't be. So
he clearly, he's a professional because he's not only gone to mime college, but he put in the extra time in a master's program in mime, a clown college to mime. So that's impressive. And he cares about what he does.
He picked such a horrific name, Art.
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 His art, because it is art.
Yeah.
To
And
him. Yeah.
and those movies are all about very extreme gore, so they're not for everybody. But if you're a gore hound or like those 80s extreme slashers, then the Terrifier franchise would probably be up your alley.
There was some extreme goo in this movie that we're going to talk about.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
deserves to give Sam Raimi a paycheck for all the cool stuff that he introduced to horror. So I'm looking here. So the first movie came out in 2016. Small budget. We're talking like no budget whatsoever. Made like $400,000. The second movie though came out in 2022. So kind of a long gap. Budget $250,000, made $15 million. So that's a huge moneymaker, cult following. Yeah.
Smart. And Brittany, where do you find those at? Where do those stream if people want to watch them?
Well, you could pretty much find All Hallows Eve, which is the anthology pre-Terrifier. You could pretty much find that streaming anywhere.
Okay.
Terrifier, the same thing. You can find that pretty much streaming anywhere. But Terrifier 2, the only place I know of off the top of my head it might be it's streaming is Screambox. And
okay.
So Screambox, but it may be streaming some other places. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good. Yeah, I love to shout that out in case we catch somebody's ear and they want to check it out. But yeah, that sounds on par.
So when is the third movie coming out?
October 11th of this year.
Ooh.
Okay.
And where will that be? That's a streamer as well, or that's in
It's going to be in theaters now. I don't know for how long, but around here, it's only going to be in theaters for like about 5 days. So not
super limited release.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, cool. Good deal.
Oh, well, and it looks like they have they're basically doing the films back to back. So 4 is apparently was developed the same time as 3. So probably back again very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, well, very cool. Yeah, I'm morbidly curious. I may have to find a way to watch it and just kind of like not look at the screen very often. That might work.
Like that. Yep. Oh,
well, very
Todd,
cool.
Tell me you didn't fall into the Grandpa Simpson trap.
Oh, I did, Charlie. I did. Hold on your horses, folks. We are going to talk about the coolest thing in all the land. All the hip kids are watching it, and that's called Matlock.
And
the
what
new
network?
Version. It is on Paramount Plus.
I laugh because we saw an episode of Big Bang just this morning that starred the titular Matlock. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Oh. Well, she was.
Not Andy Griffith.
No.
Okay.
Your program. No, the actress in question was the mother.
Kathy Bates.
Was the mother to Mayim Bialik's character of Amy on Big Bang.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I missed that season. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, very good. Yeah. So Matlock, if many of you are probably too young to remember, Brandy, I don't even know if you've ever heard of Matlock.
I have.
The original. Okay. Andy Griffith was.
Wait a second. Did he end everything with, I got one more question? Oh, that was Columbo. Sorry.
That's Columbo. Sorry. Yes. We do need a Columbo comeback too. But Matlock was a series about a very sweet Southern gentleman played by Andy Griffith, who is an octogenarian, maybe septuagenarian. I don't know. He was at age of like 60 plus. That was all part of the whole thing. Was he was kind of a supposed to be a retired lawyer and was brought back. And it just got a huge following back in the day when you had like Diagnosis Murder, She Wrote. I mean, all these things where the main character was of a certain age, which they played off of, which was very cool. I didn't watch a lot of Matlock, but obviously it's a bit of an ongoing joke with a lot of people of a certain age. Yeah. Well, this version, what intrigued me was Kathy Bates, who is an Oscar winner, has been in everything under the sun, phenomenal actress. You know what? The fact that she said this might be her last thing she does before she retires, it had me intrigued. What made her do this show, except for obviously money? And it's a cool premise, basically about this woman. Her real name is Maddie Matlock, and she does joke about, like the lawyer on the old TV show. So
what? Oh, it's breaking the fourth wall.
It breaks the fourth wall. So it doesn't shy away from it. And it really sets up a premise of what the show is like. So basically, at this point, she was a lawyer. She retired about 30 years ago, and she's in her older age now. She has to take care of her grandson, and she needs a way to make money. So she weasels her way in to a basically a client meeting or a meeting at this law firm where she's able to sneak in and then essentially immediately show her worth as someone might be of use to the firm. So it's a very cool concept. It's got a lot of interesting actors you might have seen before. Beau Bridges is also in this. He plays like the head of the law firm. And then you've got I'm trying to remember the one character's name. He plays the son of Beau Bridges, but there's some things going on there too. But I thought the show, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think it's well worth watching because there's more to it than I initially thought. And I'm like, okay, I'll come back to this. So I thought it was great. Very, very clever, very funny. Kathy Bates has given her best, and I really, really liked it.
I watched this. You watched the NCIS prequel. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Yeah. Not everything is yes.
Yeah, not everything is prequel. That is interesting. So yeah, I mean, I admire Kathy Bates' talent, and yeah, you're right. If this is the one on which she hangs her shingle, maybe it's worth something. I don't know. But your main excitement, we've already kind of talked it up a little bit, was something you did yesterday.
Yeah, so the Uncanny Experience is an event that happens in Minneapolis. This is done at the Minneapolis Club, which is this building that was created in 1908, built there. And it stands alone in Minneapolis as like the coolest looking building because it's among these skyscrapers and things. And it looks like looks like Xavier's Mansion is the best way to put it. The School for the Gifted. And it's a really nice little area, easy to get to downtown Minneapolis. And I interviewed the creators of this. This is the second year. I wanted to interview them. So I did that on our Spotlight show about a year ago. Mm-hmm. Then we had one of the leads come on, Chandler, and he was a guest on our show. We talked about one of the X-Men. Yeah, great people. And they do this event. It's an immersive experience is the best way to put it. It's like a Renfest almost, where you show up and you're a part of the student clientele at Xavier's Institute. You see all the instructors. You can join a house, like almost like a frat, which is like the Hellfire Club, Xavier's Institute, all the different houses as part of that. The Morlocks are one group too.
That's awesome.
There was cheerleaders, which was kind of fun because it was like there was a pep rally at the end of the day, which was fun. You get someone, they're trying to recruit you. So I think if I got my badge, okay, I've got my badge here too. So basically, I have freshmen because that was the thing. If you're a freshman, you're tagged, and then the house you're in, and so it was very cool. They had lectures by different people about doing different things. Like there was a PE section you could do with Professor Logan outside. So if you wanted to get in shape to take on the Sentinels, there was a Professor Forge was doing 3D printing presentation, kind of a lecture. And I attended two of them. I went to Gail Simone's panel. She's the new writer for the Uncanny X-Men, but she's done Batgirl. She's done a lot of titles. She's an amazing writer. She came with her husband, and it was funny because her husband was essentially the moderator, which is cool. Very nice guy. He's such a big fan of his wife. You can just tell. He's like, he's a nice guy. Gail Simone's an older person, probably in her late 50s, but she originally wasn't a writer. She was a hairdresser. And that's where she got started. And then she said, I want to do something else.
I hope Francie's listening. Maybe she will.
There you go, Francie.
Francie, this could be your time.
Yeah. So she cut her teeth on the Simpsons comic book. That was her first job. So they were looking for someone that could speak in the voice of the Simpsons. So yeah, she was there. And then I got to do a cool panel. I got to go to a lecture by Chris Claremont. I didn't even know he was teaching that one because I was going to go to his panel today, but I decided, he did something about the history of the Hellfire Club. It was funny though, because Chris is now 73 years old. Obviously he's the godfather of the modern X-Men.
Yes.
And he started giving his presentation. He was going to give us, he thought he was doing a presentation on evolution. So it was very funny. He put in his British accent because he was born he moved to the US at age 3. And then the moderator for it kind of said, Chris, we're actually here for the Hellfire, history of the Hellfire Club. He looks over and goes, oh, he turned off his accent and he put on his New York accent and did it.
Gosh, that's
very
funny.
charming, very clever.
Yeah.
I did get to ask a question, and it was fun. He would have talked all day, but they had to hush him off stage because the dude loves to talk. It was a blast.
Yeah.
I had so much fun. They had vendors. They even had, it was so funny because they had one of the vendors there was giving away free beer from the brewery. Yeah. So I bought a glass and it was very fun. They even had an X-Men musical called Xmas with the X-Men. So they did like Christmas songs. They had people on stage. It was a very LGBTQ positive environment, so they really embraced that. And at the end of the day, before I left, they did a rally, a pep rally, to pick the leader of the house. And so, how did we pick the leader of the house? There was a RuPaul walk off, and whoever got the most applause was selected. Jessie, Charlie, you know Jessie was a cosplayer. She did the walk as well. They had a lot of great walk-offs. The Magneto one was hilarious because he was waving his cape and just having a great time. But ultimately, the winner was Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen. Yeah. And it was amazing. I've got a lot of videos of it. It was just hilarious. They had a blast. So
that's good. That's awesome.
I highly recommend it. The place looked amazing. Everybody just had a good time. So if you're this is really for X-Men fan. If you're just a casual, like I want to go to a con, it's not the place because quite honestly, you'll be bored because you're like, where's everything else? And but they had an X-Men 97 cast as well, which was cool and very, very good time. Ran into a bunch of folks I knew too, which was great.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, like you said, and like you had remarked to me, said, "Oh, somebody could do a Spider-Man show like this and be dynamic." I would.
Why not?
I would fly somewhere to go to a show like that and dust off my Spider-Man noir tog. So that is a hot outfit to wear, I'll tell you, because head to toe and vests and pants and I don't know. I'd still do it though.
And considering how big the Avengers right now, they could do an Avengers one. I mean, there's a lot of things.
They did that on Ms. Marvel. Yeah, an Avengers one would be awesome. All right, well that's awesome. And so that is an annual event that's ongoing.
It's annual. It's 2 days long. They even have a Hellfire Gala on Saturday night. They had. I didn't go to that, but a lot of people did.
Yeah, awesome, good deal. Well, I'll crank through kind of quick. A couple of things I saw this weekend. I always struggle. Sometimes I have to send myself an email midweek. I'm like, here's what I saw this week because we do a lot of stuff. April and I watch a lot of shows together. But one thing that I booked a number of weeks ago that I really wanted to see, and it was one of these from. Not Fandango. What's the special event company? Fathom Events. Fathom Events is this documentary about the life of Christopher Reeve, Superman, who all of us from our generation are very, very familiar with. You know, they talked about his early start. You know, he is an East Coast guy, came up in the theater, went to Juilliard. His best friend was Robin Williams because they were classmates there, and covering, you know, his breakout to stardom and how Superman was a movie that just lit the imagination of the world on fire. It was the most incredible thing ever. And his career over the next decade, and how he ultimately wanted to be a bit more of a serious actor. But in 1995, he took this crippling fall off of a horse at an event and broke his neck, practically ripped his head off. His body was paralyzed, as everybody knows, from the neck down. And everything that followed in the next nearly decade between then and that and his death, he died of heart failure in 2004. But all of the advocacy and very, very hard work that he did for people who have spinal cord injuries of this type, and concluded with showing how his research and things that he did have now made this quantum leap forward in people who had conditions like his or even worse now being able to maintain this incredible amount of mobility. So it was based around that. His wife, who very tragically died less than 2 years later of lung cancer, leaving their son an orphan at age 6. It was bring tears to your eyes. It was co-produced by HBO and CNN, which means it'll show up on Max sooner or later. But I give it the highest recommendation, but be prepared to have a little lumpy lump in your throat because it's a whole lot of emotion. But it was exceptionally well done. I was then now scanning my mind trying to figure out what the hell else am I going to talk about. And I realized that the latest Walking Dead show is back. So season 2 of Daryl Dixon in France, the show now, and again, this is season 2. Originally, it was supposed to be about Daryl and then Carol, because they were the platonic pair of the Walking Dead crew, but it was going to film in France. Actress Melissa McBride couldn't get a passport, whatever the reason was, so she was dropped from the show in the first season. Well, between season 1 and season 2, they were able to resolve that. So now the show is back as it was originally intended to be a duo. So in this first episode, which dropped today, I'm watching it on AMC Plus. You can grab AMC Plus through Prime, or you can grab it as a standalone, get a week trial. And it's only
Charlie will put his credentials in the chat
will.
for
Yes,
everybody.
you can have my credit card information too. It's only $5 a month, which, as streamers go, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
That's on the low end. But this did a nice touch. It was kind of like 75-25 Carol's story. Carol's still in the U.S. trying to figure out how to get over to France, because that's where she found out that Daryl ended up. So she meets this nice man and they form a friendship, but of course there's lots of walkers and blah, blah, blah. And at the end of it, they fly off in a Cessna, which my dad flew a Cessna when I was a kid. That's not going to get to France from Maine, which is where they launched from. But
lots of gas.
Yes, which they did. And I don't want to give everything away because I think it's worth watching. But you do get a little piece of what's the ongoing plot threads that were happening in season 1 over in France with the people that Daryl had met. But then they show that this season on, and it's only 6 episodes, so things will happen very quickly. But you see that obviously the plot lines come together, and there's lots of explosions and walkers, because the whole first season was about these weirdly enhanced walkers that somebody had been experimenting on, and they were doing different shit. I don't want to spoil it, but I would tune in. I would absolutely tune in. And then finally, and I just heard that the show got canceled, which is a drag. April and I loved the show Orphan Black, which was Tatiana Maslany. It was about 7 or 8 years ago, about a hyper clone thing. It happened in Toronto. It's a very Canadian show that we enjoyed very much. It was on for several seasons. They brought it back, set in Boston, the year 2050, with Kristen Ritter, who apparently does not age, which is funny because it's about her being a clone. And she looks like she did, 20 years ago when she was in Breaking Bad. But it's 10 episodes, but now it's over. So now we can just watch it and it can just be done with. But we watched the first episode and got a little bit into the second one. But yeah, it's about her. She is a replicant of sorts. She escapes. Clock jumps forward 2 years. She's being caught, but she runs into a younger version of herself. Just in the street, and then gets entangled in the plot line. And then characters from the first show come back as well. So again, we're only 2 episodes in, but Todd, did you ever tune into that show? Nope. Not for you. Brandy, I was talking, I fired through The Walking Dead, which is of course kind of a horror thing. Have you ever dabbled? Are you a fan?
I have every graphic novel.
Same. Yep.
Huge fit. And I have a love-hate relationship with the show.
Many do.
So I love how they did Rick, though. I thought that they were very faithful to how Rick was in the graphic novel. So if anything good came out of it, would have to have been Andrew Lincoln's turn as Rick Grimes.
Yeah, and his little miniseries, which was on earlier this year, Rick and Michonne, was fantastic. And I would, if you enjoyed his character, I would recommend tuning in. It was again, they do them in little 6-episode chunks, which is, I like 6-episode chunks. That 6-episode chunks is good for these little spin-offs, because you don't have to get too inside baseball. But anyway, AMC Plus for both of those shows, and that's what I'd recommend. But without further ado, we are done here. Time to skip out of the Geek Easy. Again, they spit in my burger. I think there's gasoline in my drink, so I'm not going to pay. But I did get.
Why did we invite Brandy here?
I don't know.
I wondered that
keep coming
myself.
back? Why do we keep coming back to this place?
Because we never pay. But anyway, I've got my phone out. I've got my Air Qantas app opened up. Time to get a flight to land down under Hologram Tina, and the mutants are waiting for week 1 of Shocktober. Drag me to hell.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, it's Shocktober. We're kicking it off with a movie that I have long wanted to see, and that is Drag Me to Hell by Sam Raimi. My goodness, I believe this is one of the first movies he did post Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, I believe.
The third one was in 07. This is 09.
Oh, that's right. So okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So this movie by Sam Raimi came out in May 2009, and it was a budget of $30 million, made $90 million. So that's a very, very, very successful film.
Okay.
Charlie. And then we've got our cast is Alison Lohman, who plays the lead, Justin Long, Ruth Olivier, Lorna Raver, Dilip Rao, David Paymer, Adriana Barraza, Chelsea Ross, and then Reggie Lee, and then Molly Cheek. There's a lot of other actors, but they're not very primary in this. So I would say hit those, and I think we'd be good to go. Fun fact: Molly Cheek, who plays Justin Long's mom, was in the Gary Shandling show. I'm like, I know her from somewhere.
And Jim's mom in American Pie, the lady who made the famous pie.
At first I thought she was the mom of 90210.
Yeah.
I thought it was, and I'm like, it's not her.
It looks very much like her. Yeah, and in those American Pie movies, for no good reason, they killed her off in the third one. In the reunion one, she was dead. She was like, "Oh, your mom
American
died."
Pie funeral.
Yeah, American Pie.
That's kind of a sad reason to get together and have sex hijinks.
American Pie, American Funeral. Yeah, it was a rough one.
Okay.
So, all right. What do we got?
So the plot of this film: a lone officer who evicts an old woman from her home finds herself the recipient of a supernatural curse. Desperate, she turns to a seer to try and save her soul, while evil forces work to push her to a breaking point. So I will say I'd never seen this film before. I've always wanted to, somehow just slip through the cracks. Charlie, you hadn't seen it either. So Brandy, is this a movie that you have an association with?
I have it on my shelf. I'm
nice.
I'm big into collecting physical media. So it is sitting on my shelf. I have the DVD that has both the unrated version and then the theatrical version.
Wait, there's an unrated version? I don't know which version I watched then.
Yes.
It gets goopier. Oh my gosh.
Yes, it is goopier in the unrated version.
Just to let everyone know off the top of the head, if you're interested in this, after we talk about it, it can be found on Amazon Prime. So definitely.
I don't know which version though. I don't know if it's the theatrical or because I watched it on Prime as well. So I don't know. Brandy, I'm assuming. So for this watch, or did you watch it fresh again?
Actually, it's a movie that I come back to about every month or so. But I always, I watched it last night on my DVD, and I watched the unrated version. It's the only thing is that it's more goopy. There's not really any deleted scenes.
Now it's more goopy
that have made their way into the unrated version, but it's the goopy scenes are expanded.
No boy.
Now more eyeballs and nosebleeds.
How did she get another eyeball? Where'd that come from? Oh my gosh.
So Charlie and I knew once I knew this was a Sam Raimi film, I'm like, I know what to expect, especially when we got a lot of the Sam Raimi elements that essentially this feels like Evil Dead 4. Quite honestly, if you count the Army of Darkness as 3, this felt like Evil Dead 4 if you wanted to make a more streamlined film. And since he's not doing the modern Evil Dead films, this felt like a new Evil Dead film.
Where the hell was Bruce Campbell? He's in almost every one of Raimi's movies. Yeah, I mean, he was even in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as the hot dog guy. You know what I mean? So it looks like Brandy knows. You don't have to raise your hand. It's okay.
Yes, I do. I was about to say, I do know where Bruce Campbell was actually for this one. He was meant to be in Drag Me to Hell, but he was in Burn Notice at the same time, and scheduling conflicts led him to not be in this film.
That's just that. You know what? That's a good problem to have if you're an actor. For the actors I've known in my time, it's good to have scheduling conflicts.
But we did get the Oldsmobile, so that showed up.
Yes, she resurrected. That was dragged out of Uncle Ben's grave, and he got the Oldsmobile Buick.
See, maybe that's the problem. This vehicle if you see that vehicle and someone
Probably.
offers you a deal on it,
Light it on fire.
keep walking by. Keep walking
Yeah.
by.
not a
Apparently, Uncle Ben sold it to Peter sold it to the gypsy lady because he needed to get rent.
The gypsy lady cursed Aunt May, and that's why the Green Goblin kept coming around. I'll bet. So
That's true. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. So this movie, it's funny because Alison Lohman, she plays the main character, and she is looking to succeed in the world of banking. She's a loan officer, and she wants to succeed to become essentially the assistant manager, played by David Paymer. He's the manager. So she's good, but he's like, I don't know if you like to take chances or if you're, cutthroat as much as your competitor, the really creepy Reggie, who's a new guy, but he knows what to do to succeed. So she says, okay, I'll do what I need to succeed. And when she looks over, who's staring at her? It is Mrs. Ganoush.
Yeah.
Nice old lady.
Yes, Mrs. Baba Ganoush, got it. Yeah, so yeah,
Yes.
you have this old lady who's hacking up a lung, and she's blind in one eye, and she's like, I've gotten 2 notices that they're going to evict me. Can you help me out and give me a third one, because I just can't make money, yada yada yada. And so Alison Lohman's character is obviously kind of a soft touch, because she's like, just milk her a little bit, but she's like, well, I remember that David Paymer said I got to be a hard ass if I want to get the big promotion. So she goes in there, and he's like, well, the bank makes a lot of money if you kick her out, but it's totally up to you. So it's just like, oh, you're really setting her up for the fall here. And so she goes back and tells Baba Ganoush lady, you're out of there. Lady freaks out, jumps on her.
But it's funny though, because when she's doing this, and we kind of actually skipped the very beginning of this movie where we're basically informed that there's something bad's going to happen. And that is back in 1969, we find out this little boy is sick. He sees a woman who apparently has some abilities to
and a mansion in
kind of like an exorcist.
Yeah, a weird mansion in Reseda, or in where they have the Rose Bowl. I thought, well,
Pasadena, yeah, not Reseda. So basically, they bring her. Apparently, their son stole a necklace from a gypsy, as we'll call him, because that's not the appropriate term. Apparently, it's not looked upon the Romanese.
Romanese, there you go.
Yes, and so the woman knows that she has to do something to save this boy. And then we find out there's this creature called the Lamia that is looking basically to drag someone to hell. That's kind of like there's 3 stages. And if I'm missing anything, Brandy, by all means, step in, because I'm kind of, you've seen this a lot, so you probably could recite this. So go ahead.
It's like, what I have to say is, I don't think the punishment fit the crime at all. Just like in either of those cases. It's just like, okay, so the boy stole a necklace. The father even said, hey, we tried to give it back, and they refused. Just like, what church?
Gotta die.
Yeah, it's like, you stole a necklace. You're going to burn in hell for all eternity. It's just like, boo. And then was denying that woman the loan, just like, or kicking her out of the house, just like really bad. Yeah. But then, gee, I wouldn't feel so bad, like, doing that after she freaking cursed me.
Well, it's like the little boy when he's trying to run from the curse. He falls really far. And I'm like, well, he's dead. Nope, he's okay.
Well,
and then he's like rewarded with,
he's like, I'm cool. Blah! Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the woman getting kicked out of her house, I mean, that's a bummer, but
couldn't the family help? I don't want to bother my children, but I'd rather curse you.
Yeah, you're like, you're right. So you're right. So you got to, and at the end of it, not only did she get kicked out of her house, but she also died. Anyway.
Well, I want to say the other thing about, and this is where I knew this was a Sam Raimi film, because the life force, the Lamia, just starts just hitting people across the room. People are getting like destroyed and beat up, and it's just so funny to me. It's like, because that's what Sam Raimi does. He likes like slapstick, like Three Stooges humor. So that's where a lot of it comes from. He doesn't play it up straight. There's certain moments where you're expected to kind of be like, really, Sam? And he's just eating it up because he's like, I love doing this. But when the old woman's at the bank, it's so funny because you look over, and by the way, she's like hacking like green ooze. So that's first gross. And she's like, oh, and she's showing her.
Gotta take her dentures out. And
Oh,
all
and she takes her
slimy.
dentures off to get a candy, and then you look over, she's stealing the candy.
I know.
Maybe our main character should have cursed her for stealing her candy.
Yes, the banker's curse. I will say this big picture, that while the elements of it were very scary and stuff, I think this film could have benefited from having a real screenwriter involved, because it's just it gets very Kevin Smith. It's written and directed by, so it's almost like George Lucas. It kind of gave me a Phantom
It's a
Menace
family
kind of
affair, Charlie.
Yeah,
It's a family affair.
it was like there was no filter, because none of the elements really, it was like, let's write some dialogue that people absolutely couldn't say. You know what I mean? Like Justin Long, who's her boyfriend, who takes a speakerphone call that the girlfriend can hear in the hall, where the mom's like, "Oh, that girl you're dating is a hick. I really want you to date so-and-so. It's like, because that can really help your career." And I'm like, people don't talk. Like, why did you have that call on speakerphone? It was full of a sequence of events that just didn't seem like people.
Charlie, how many people do you know that use the speakerphone out in public? It was just a pretense to people in reality, right? I mean,
that was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the plot progression totally, like, I was looking for a little bit more. Hey, this is a little bit. It was crazy enough. Why not?
It wasn't meant to be a serious film by any means, Charlie. This is like over the top. They were not looking for like award-winning dialogue. It was like.
It was over the top. It was like if the top was like maybe the top of the Chrysler building. That was just like, April and I were just looking at each other like, why is there now eyeballs shooting out? And why is there now, the whole thing in the parking garage?
Have you not seen Evil Dead 2? Eyeballs are a big part of it.
I know, but that's the woods, Todd. All kinds of things happen in the woods, not in the city.
Eyeballs are only in the woods?
Well, a guy in a pit and this stuff. So it was a bridge too far. But still, anyway.
Yeah, so I thought it was funny because, you see the woman take that, and then as soon as she tells her loan, the woman bends down and says, "Oh, help me," and then she says, "No, ma'am, you have shamed me, and then I'm going to kill you with my gross teeth." I mean, she came at her like I couldn't believe.
And then, as I said, we then jump to she's going to her car, but the lady's in her back seat and is trying to murder her. And then Alison Lohman fortunately carried out a U.S. mail tray with the stapler in it, so she's fighting her off with the stapler. There was 4 or 5 sequences in this film where her hair gets ripped off. Poor Alison Lohman's hair gets ripped loose.
Ouch.
Including the final indignity of the cemetery at the end. But anyway, don't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't go bald.
Yeah,
exactly. And she looked perfect. So take us through where this craziness goes.
Where the what?
The craziness of this movie goes. Where's it? Where are we going next?
Oh boy. So she after all that, she ends up getting after the old woman gets a staple in the eye, after cars get crashed, after she gets a ruler stuck down her throat, she ends up picking up this little old woman, picking up this big old brick. I don't know where she got that from, just like in a parking lot, but
cinder blocks in the parking structure. It's falling apart.
Yeah. So she smashes her car window, drags her out, and then she rips a button off of Christine's coat.
And curses it.
Yeah, she breathes on it and says, now you are gonna be begging, come begging to me. It's just like, really? Because she denied you, she pretty much denied your request for a payment plan and kicked you out of your house, you're going to say, well, that you're going to burn in hell for all eternity.
I thought it was so funny because once she got the button, she's like, "Okay, see you later."
Yes, bye.
She's like, "Bye."
Oh, is that all?
It was like the tension was here, and then it's like, "Okay, we're down here. Now we're going back." And then it's funny because that's where it is so funny because Christine's like, everything's coming up, Christine. Yeah, I got attacked, but man, I'm doing my work, gonna get this job, and it's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Right, got Justin. First of all, I also kind of dislike Justin Long, but that's a whole separate issue. That's
I like him.
That's her boyfriend, and he's a college professor, but he comes from a snooty family, and they have to go to a snooty family dinner. But by this point, the curse is in full swing, so she's hearing things and swallowing bugs, and eyeballs coming out of the cake, and oh my god.
Well, she has to go to the seer, to basically find out what's going on. He charges her $60, and then he's like, "You can have your $60 back. I don't like you, lady.
You gonna die."
But he ended up keeping the money because Justin Long said, well, he did offer the money but to give the money back, but he ended up keeping it just like anyway. So it was probably just more like a courtesy thing.
Well, she's not going to need it.
Spoiler alert! Hell, 3 days. She doesn't need money. What's she going to do with money?
They don't have money in hell. They use Bitcoin, I've heard.
So we find out that more bad things happen. We've got this shadow because they say it's going to be 3 days. Once you're cursed, it's like air first. Was it wind? So what is it? What is it, Brandy? What is the three things?
I think it's just like you start seeing like shadows and then just like the wind blowing around, and then day 2 just escalates into just like really horrible violence. And then by the 3rd day, it's just like, you're too late. You're going to hell. You get dragged under by a bunch of little demon hands.
By scary arms.
Yes.
So essentially, she knows at least what's happening. So she thinks, I think I'll be okay. And then things go even worse. Like she's up in her room and she, once again, tangling with this force in her room. She gets thrown up in the air, beat out of her, and Justin Long finds her like, what happened? You did this shit all by yourself?
Right. And
it was
and the seer tells her, a blood sacrifice might be necessary. So this little kitten, and it does happen off screen, but you see her burying it, and Justin Long, they don't live together, but he's coming to pick her up for something. She's like, "Oh, you look like you got blood in your sleeve." "Oh no, I was making a tomato soup or something. I'm good." And so that sucks,
It was very much common. Like at that point, you're like, okay, I guess she means business now because she's gonna, she truly believes it and whatever I need to do, and then you know what? She thinks everything's gonna be fine now. Everything's good. Once again, every time she thinks like, oh yeah, everything's gonna be great.
We're good, and then it's fine.
And then she's at the bank, and things are going okay. And then her boss is like, "Oh, got a little drip of blood right there." What's
and then
going
she's
on
like, "That's what I'm just like." But she goes back to work the next day, and it ain't no thing. Oh, it's fine. But at that point, the skeevy guy steals her file for the big deal she's working on, and he gives it to the bank.
It's another bank. Yeah.
And so when she goes back to work the next day, nothing gets brought up about the fact that her boss was covered in her blood. Because he's just sitting there doing paperwork, and he's like, "Oh, you know what? It turns out that blah, blah, blah got a line on this deal you were working on, so it's being canceled, but your promotion is probably dead in the water as well. Sorry."
Yep. So then she goes back to the seer and says, Hey, I do what you said to do and didn't work. What happened? He's like, what I do is not precise science.
You're like, when I hit you over the head with this baseball bat, that will be a precise science.
He's like, did I quote you a percent accuracy? No. You just believed me, a dude down the street running a palm reading business.
With a fake accent, without a doubt.
Yep.
Oh.
I mean, it's not like he has like, I don't know, does he have like a, what is it, Better Business Bureau ranking? Like, top 500, fortune readers in the area?
I didn't see a diploma on his wall. I don't know that I was buying the veracity of what he had going on. But anyway, so this is taking us through day 2. So he finally says to her, "Well, I need 10 grand and I'm going to take you to a special practitioner, and it's the lady from the beginning of the film."
We're too early for that, Charlie.
Oh, sorry.
She basically says, "Well, you can always ask forgiveness."
Oh, that's off. she goes to this family member of the Romani lady that was mentioned to her, and the Romani lady is very curt with her, but still lets her in. But it's the funeral because the lady's dead. But of course, naturally, it becomes a comedy of errors when Alison Lohman falls on the crazy lady. They tumble out of the coffin, and it's just more goo on her face. And I'm just like, oh my.
She goes directly in her
ripped out
mouth.
again.
The teeth. There's no teeth anymore, so it's just you just see gummy on her face.
Yeah, and then I think that it was the old lady's granddaughter that she's like, yeah,
Right.
you still think you're going to make everything right for her? You deserve exactly what you're going to get, or exactly what's coming to you. It's like, Jesus.
Ouch! Come on. But
I mean, at that point, when you've done that at a funeral, you just need to get out of there ASAP.
Well,
Don't talk to anybody. Just leave.
That's like from Clerks. Don't you remember the little?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Her body fell out. Oh
Yes.
my God. So from there, then we're back.
We go to the family dinner.
Family dinner where she makes a cake that while she's looking at it, she's having hallucinations that the cake has an eyeball. She stabs it with a knife, blood shoots out. I mean, guys, and then there's more flies. Flies.
The knife, the fork disappears too. That's the other part. Like, where'd the fork go? I don't know. And then fly comes out of her mouth, and then it was so funny because it's like, oh, it's raisin cake. So everybody looks, oh no, there's raisins here. Are those flies?
Oh my God, flies and eyeballs. So that doesn't go well. Doesn't really impress the mother, the mother who was dissing her on the phone earlier. That scene ends, but now we get to the point where she's back to the sea. She says nothing's working. What can you do? And then, as I was alluding to, they need 10 grand so that they can hire the woman from the beginning of the movie, who's obviously that was back in 1969. Now it's 40 years later, but she's still doing exorcism. So we get to this exorcism scene. But yeah, Alison Lohman is running around her house trying to raise up enough money for a pawn shop. But while she's, first of all, a loan officer, I worked in a bank for a few years. These loan officers don't make enough to have a nice house like that in LA. But she is still running around and gathering up all her stuff. And the old lady's skeleton or dead body pops out and is gooing on her and smash. She has an anvil in her tool shed.
That was classic Raimi. Always go to the shed. Something's there to kill something, and something bad would always happen in a shed.
Yeah, so she's able to, while she's getting choked, cut the rope so the anvil falls on the dead body's head and the eyeballs shoot out. And I think more goo in her mouth. You're right. It was just, they were just going for broke at this point, but I wasn't being amused by it the way that you guys were. It was just,
I was enjoying it so much. It made me feel like I was a kid watching Evil Dead 2. So Brandy, now that she's got the 10 grand, well, $3,800 apparently,
right.
They take pity on her and then they go see Dana. And what happens then?
they gotta go.
Okay, so they end up at, so yeah, she ends up getting the $3,800 and her boyfriend's like, no, I just paid him. I just flat out paid them because I love you and I don't know what's going on, but I know that you believe in it. And so I promised to always take care of you. So I just paid him. So that's out of the way. And so they end up pulling to this house. And I remember him saying, like, do you want me to go in with you? She's like, nah, I'm going to go in by myself. He goes, okay, cool. So I guess there's an unspoken promise.
I'm
going to the strip club. I'm out. All right.
Yeah,
I'm going to Starbucks, going to Barnes & Noble, going to read some books, have some coffee. About 2 hours. Right. Is that good?
Yeah, 2 hours good.
Some kind of promise to like pick her up later.
If it wraps up sooner, text me. We're good.
Yep. And then this whole seance thing starts happening. So they do the little like introductions, like have their coffee, like their drinks, whatever. Then they end up sitting at this seance table and they bring this goat into the room. This big ass white goat. And she's like, what the hell?
Goat.
And the seance lady's like, no. Please, we're doing everything just like for your own good, please.
It's by the book, the Necronomicon.
Yep, exactly. And so she's like, hey, and she has like this big old machete thing. And she's like, Christine, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to summon the Lamia into me. Once it's into me, then you're going to put my hand on the goat. And then there's this other, I guess, her assistant or something. And she's like,
Sounds
that's
like-
when,
yeah,
that's,
it
yeah.
sounds like one of those things that like a Halloween party. You put your hand in
Yeah.
the thing of grapes and its eyeballs, and the other one is it's like the Treehouse Horror. The other one's the spaghetti and its intestines or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah.
This was her hair, and these were her eyes.
God, yes. Yep. And then so he's like, then that's okay, assistant, that's when you strike. You're gonna kill the goat, and then the Lamia is gonna go away. So that's the whole plan. Well, does the plan work? No, it's not.
It
does
was
not.
like Three's Company.
It
We
does.
got a talking goat for a little bit.
Oh my god, yeah, he was
the
really
goat,
nailing it.
oh my God. And that is, if there was anything that was Sam Raimi, it's that freaking goat. Whenever the Lamia spirit gets put in that goat, like,
It
you
really-
tricked me, you.
Really should have been a llama, don't you think? The Lamia and the llama? No.
Those are a lot harder to come across,
one of
Charlie.
those.
And it made me think of like, was that the inspiration for Black Thomas and the Witch? Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh. It was a shit. So anyway, the seance doesn't end up working out. Everything
Nope.
falls apart. And so we are out of time. So what is the last
Oh.
gambit? What's the last gambit?
Oh, I love the seance where like everybody was getting turned. It was, essentially,
turned.
what was her assistant? He goes up in the air. He's going crazy.
There's
Classic
fire.
Raimi.
He lands in the fire. It was, yeah.
And he's still okay. Still okay.
Yeah,
Everything's good to go. And then it fails. So then she basically, they say, you have to take this cursed object and give it to someone to pass it along. Because at this point, we can't do anything, and you're running out of time. So you better figure out who you're going to give it to.
Give it over. And of course, it was very paper thin what happened, because she and Justin Long are driving. He slams on the brakes, and she dumps her purse on the floor of his car, and she's picking all her stuff up. She had taken the button and put it in the exact same type of tiny envelope that he had earlier used when he's a coin collector, and she had found him a rare coin that he had put in the exact same type of tiny envelope. And guess what? You could see it coming a mile away. The envelopes gets mixed up. So what does she do with the envelope that she has in her possession that she thinks?
Okay, Brandy, you want? Well, she tries to give it to Stu. She chickens out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think, at first, it's like she's in this diner. It's just like, okay, who am I going to give this to? Who am I going to give this to? At first, she just sees this old man who's on oxygen. She's like, okay, well, I guess her thought process is, I guess he's dying anyway. But then his wife, like,
really do me a solid here, buddy. That'd be great.
Yeah, and so then she's like, damn it. No, and then she thinks, okay, well, I'm going to give it to Stu because he's a jerk. And then I guess Stu's crying because he's just like, oh, you found out like what I did when I stole your file and I give it to that bag. Don't tell our boss, like don't tell anybody. And then I guess she's just like,
my dad will be so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was her dad? Who was the dude's dad?
I don't know.
I know that just seems so random to me. Like, what does his dad come into it? It's weird.
Yeah,
whatever.
No idea. So I guess she changes around. I was like, well, he's a jerk, but he has to deserve to go to hell. Then she's thinking, okay, who does deserve this? And then she looks at a newspaper, sees an obituary, the old woman's in there. She ends up going to the seer. The seer's looking up something in a book, and then she's like, Romani give blessings and gifts to their departed, so it would only make sense you could gift a curse. So yes, I do think you can give the curse to someone who has passed on. So that's her plan. She's going to give that button to the old woman, give that curse.
The gift of a curse.
Yeah.
What do you give to everybody who has something? What do you give to the person who doesn't have everything? A curse. So, guys, if you need a present for, a friend or a frenemy, I'm gifting you a curse.
A cursed button. So,
may you always run out of toilet paper.
What is she? What has to happen? Because the old lady is already buried in the ground. So Alison Lohman becomes a champion grave exhumer in the rain.
Was it raining when she started, or did it start raining after she was already done?
Who knows? But by the time she gets down to the bottom of it, she is coated in mud. It looked like she was digging in stone, just the way it was raining. But she finds it and cracks it open. And she tries to take the envelope. She wads up and puts in the old lady's mouth. And then the rain picks up. So now the grave is flooded and the body comes out and it's still lumbering over. It's able
to grab her hair again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would think she'd be wearing a Shatner toupee by this point. You know what I mean?
And she even mentions it. She goes, "You'll never pull my hair again." I'm like, yes.
It's like, that's the last of my hair you're getting.
So while she grapples with the obviously with the dead body, she leaves the wadded up envelope with the dead body, and she's like, "I'm out." And she's like, no. Okay, what am I forgetting?
Well, I hopefully you mentioned the part where you think she's going to get out, and then the damn cross.
Bonk.
Oh God!
I laughed so hard. I'm like, yes. I'm like, oh, you can't end like this. That would be horrible.
Right. So she does get out of there and goes home. And the next day, she and Justin Long are going to catch a train. They're going to Santa Barbara, do her parents, cottage, and then listening to her voicemail that her boss is like, "Hey, it turns out that we figured out everything about so-and-so and he's fired. So you got the job. I will see you on Monday. Everything is good." She's like, "I'm walking.
Everything's going. Everything's coming up, Christine."
She's like, "I'm walking on sunshine."
Okay, so what was the deal that she had to buy that coat? Was there something was there something about that coat that was like a must-have? I know it was about the ongoing thing about a coat, but
yeah, who knows? I don't know. Tell us, Brandy.
Yeah, just she did mention later on that that coat is really nasty. The coat that she did have on that the old woman ripped the button off of, but she just thought that coat was cute. Okay, if I was walking past that window and saw that coat, I would get it. I think it was cute.
It just seemed like some weird ad. She's like, "Oh," and she was talking to the lady through the were you just trying to run out the clock? We need an extra 90 seconds on the movie. It seemed weird to me.
She wants a nice new coat, fresh new beginning. That's how I took it.
80% of my wardrobe is covered in slime.
Maggots.
Exactly. But now that I'm getting this new job, I can work. So anyway, she and Justin Long are getting ready. He's got a ring in his pocket before she walks up. He's going to propose. Everything seems great. So what happens when everything seems great? They're standing talking, and the wind picks up, and the sky gets dark. And
he even brings me "Why did you get a new coat?" I
right.
Yeah, and she's just like, "Yeah, I threw it out. I never want to see it again." He goes, "Oh no, because you see, he pulls out the envelope. I have this button." And she's like, "Oh crap!"
Oh, and she starts falling back and into the train track, and you're like, "Oh crap!" And Justin Long's like, "I'll save you." He's like, "Oh shit, hell's opening up."
Yeah, a train's coming. Yeah, she's simultaneously a train coming there, but then hell opens up. The big scary finger. This is the one thing that was kind of freaky. All the hands grab her, but as they pull her down, her face starts to melt. I noticed that. I was like, "Oh,
she's like, I love you." Come join me.
Yeah, reading out. He's like, I think maybe we should be on a break.
Once the flesh started melting, he just kind of pulled his hand back. It's like,
I know this may make me sound like a dick, but I'm going to say no.
At that moment when I saw that, I'm like, oh yes, they nailed it. They nailed the ending. She was like, she did so much to survive, and still through that, she got screwed.
It's funny because if you follow her character thread at the beginning, she's like, "Oh, she's just a regular old person," but then she vigorously beats up this old lady while she's attacking, and she's willing to try. She was thinking about killing Stu. She murders a kitten. I mean, she takes a lot of bad turns. That at the end of it, do you really feel as bad for her for what happened? She didn't deserve it. But then she also, you kind of saw her true colors.
She tried to do the right thing so many times.
And then she didn't.
That's the frustrating part.
Killing a cat. But yeah, she really did try. She worked really hard to stay alive. But what do they say in sports now? The other team just wanted it more?
Oh, sure. Or you just prayed enough to God to win.
Yeah.
Jesus liked me better than the other team, as they would say. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So, that's it.
So, Brandy, any last thoughts on this film?
Well, I felt bad for her because I just look at her, just her trying to survive as doing or going to like maybe the rational, desperate measures that I think any person might take, except for the whole like kitty stabbing thing. I mean, I'm a big animal lover. I've got 3 dogs.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I just be like, you know what? I think I'm going to set the sacrificing thing aside and go like another route.
Did you sacrifice a fish?
Could ya? Yeah, just right down the.
No. Okay.
That's
So
so
basically, there's like no line there. Maybe a worm. How would a worm? Would a worm work?
Oh my god!
A bird? What about a bird? I wouldn't have a problem with a bird. Really, I mean, I wouldn't feel as bad. I can't.
So Brandy, you're kind of screwed. You can't even like fly. Could I kill a fly?
Well, if it was a fly, probably yes.
They say blood sacrifice, so just something that has blood. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like. If it was a fly, then yes, maybe. But
I mean, we've all probably in our lives swallowed 85 flies. So we've already killed them and we didn't realize it. Yes. I just want to say one passing trend through this whole movie. I couldn't stop thinking that the main actress, I kept on thinking of Pam from The Office. That's who she completely reminded me of. So I'm like, man, Pam, just imagine putting Pam in a horror film and this is what you get.
Oh my God.
Loved it.
Well, Justin Long is no Jack Ryan. I'll tell you that right now. He's definitely not. Yeah, he's definitely not Jim from The Office.
Okay. So at this point, we give our review score, something out of 10. So at this point, 10 eyeballs, Charlie, just for you. Out of 10 eyeballs, what would you give this film?
I mean, like I said, the thing that was really lacking for me was, I guess I do like people to sound like people. And you're right, Raimi went the extra distance, but it didn't have the charm for me that The Evil Dead does. So I'm gonna have to swing this one with a 5 out of 10 eyeballs. Sorry. So yeah, 2 and so like a half eyeball. So, sorry.
The lack of Bruce Campbell definitely did not help you this one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so sorry, it's a 5 for me. It was a no for me, dog. Sorry.
So if it was Bruce Campbell, would you toss it an extra eyeball?
Yeah, so that we had an even sets. So we had 3 sets of eyeballs. Absolutely.
Yeah. Imagine if this was like, this was Evil Dead 4. He wasn't available, so I'm just calling it Drag Me to Hell, and it's got Pam from The Office. Maybe that's what the real plot was. We didn't know that. So, Brandy, what would you give this film, even though you might be a little biased?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, I don't know if I would give it a 10 out of 10, even though I really do love it. It's got to be even though I try and visit it once a month, I still have to really be in the mood to watch Drag Me to Hell. I really have to be in the mood to watch like any really certain kind of horror film, but I would probably give it an 8 out of 10 eyeballs for the theatrical version and throw in an extra half eyeball for the extra goopiness in the unwritten version.
Well, that makes sense. You probably get more eyeballs in that version anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Like at least 20.
It's the gravy. I agree. All right. Well, Mr. Raimi Lover, what do you got for us?
I'm giving it 8 because, I love finding these movies that for some reason I missed, and I just watch it. I'm like, wow, that was so much fun, and I just love what it captured. I loved the tropes of the gypsies and all those things, and then the no one does Sam Raimi films anymore, where it's kind of jokey at times, but then it's jokey, weird, and then really scary, and it's a really weird, unique balance and dance that I just feel at some points it's we just don't get that enough anymore. But that's what I'm giving it. So that is it. Week 2 is coming up next. And hope you look forward to that. We have another special guest coming for that. So it's going to be a lot of fun having, I believe Luke Lore's coming on for, I think it's The Fog.
Yes. Yeah.
The Fog.
That one was my pick because I haven't seen it. So yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Well, Brandy, thank you so much for being here. Where do people find you out there on socials?
Well, people can find me on Instagram and Threads at Terrorific Lady. I always say it's like terrific, except terrorific.
Terrorific.
Yeah, or horrific, yes. And if YouTube is people's thing, they can also find me on YouTube at The Terrorific Lady. And on Twitch, I stream once a week on there, just doing video games and chilling as Terrific Lady as well.
Very nice. Awesome. Todd, what about you?
They can follow me on Threads and Instagram at Tioxtra, at Secret Friends Unite. Check me out there. Have a good time. And yeah, check out our old episode. I'll put it up of the Uncanny Experience. I'll put that up there so people can, listen to that team and listen to them talk about it, because I don't ever think I put it on the mainstream. So that's what I've been up to. So check that out and have a good week, everybody.
Very good. Awesome. And you can find me, of course, also on Threads and Instagram. I'm at the C3, TheCeeThree. Also very active on our Secret Friends Discord and United Trekkers of Michigan, which is a Star Trek Discord that my wife and I run. Having a rockin' good time always. Friends, one more time, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring. Keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Boo.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.